There was no religious seance or anything whatsoever. I ran back because I could not get the car started. It turns out my seat was too far back. So
this is not helping you from this progress on, so I encourage you to.
I'm sorry.
State of Florida versus Anthony John Tote. Verdict as to count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Verdict as to count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Verdict as to count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Verdict as to count 4. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Verdict as to count 5. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of cruelty to animals.
Madam Clerk, if you would please poll the jury by juror number.
Juror number 78, are these your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 75.
Yes, ma'am.
Juror number 74.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
The jury is unanimous.
When you hear a jury foreperson say, guilty once, it's powerful. But here, count after count, the words almost become unbearable. You can feel the weight in the room. For members of the Tote family, gone. And the jury, after days of testimony, was unanimous. Not a shred of doubt in their minds. This isn't just a legal conclusion. It's the end of any hope for Anthony Tote to walk free again.
Mr. Tote, a jury has unanimously determined, after being selected from our community, that you are guilty of murdering your wife, Megan Tote, of murdering your daughter, Zoe Tote, murdering your son, Alexander Tote, murdering your son, Tyler Tote, and murdering the family dog. Does the defense care to give any statements prior to sentencing?
This was a personal catastrophe in everybody's life in my family, including myself. I maintain my innocence. I provided for my wife, did everything I could for my wife. She was progressively sick over the years. There were days which were worse, days which were better. She was kept on a pedestal from me. My kids I did everything for them. The weight gain, Ms. Kopko has said, was because I negated myself. 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night because I would be treating my wife, doing for my wife, flying back and forth. I appreciated her medical concerns, and the reason why I would call so much is because Megan would have bad days, and I just needed to know she was okay. It wasn't a control factor. It wasn't any kind of scoping things out or whatnot. It was my fear that she was, or my fear that something was wrong with her, and I just needed to hear her voice making sure she was okay. I loved my wife. I loved my children. I was not there the night my children died. The Friday before all this happened, we got in a disagreement, and I begged her to go get help because she screamed at my son because he didn't do the pot, clean the pot. He let it soak per my instructions. This has been a progressive history since the miscarriage, her anger issues, her frustration issues, and it was directed mostly at me. And I took it. It's okay, because she held me partly responsible for getting her sick initially because I insisted she went to the hospital. I told her, after she finally decided to schedule a doctor's appointment on the Thursday after Thanksgiving, she canceled it. I found that out the night before. When she screamed at Tyler, the Friday the 13th, I told her that she has to the end of the month to see a doctor because she went to the alternative and spiritual and all this other route, or I would get her aunt and my sister involved. After that, she once again held it quiet in public, okay? She was very good at keeping it from the public. We went to the recital that they did for the convalescent home on the 13th. I was walking on eggshells. I don't like upsetting my wife. My wife was primary and foremost in my life, especially after she got sick. Finally, whatever day it was, and I apologize, I do not have the days because I was on a winter break. I went up to her one night and said, listen, I haven't treated you in a couple days. Just allow me to treat you. Allow me to work on you. And I tried a couple different techniques. As I was working, she was worried about me not loving her anymore. And I told her, no, the footprints. Remember the footprints poem? Sometimes you don't think I'm there, but I'm the one carrying you. I will do whatever you need to get ready. That's why I've supported you. She knew I didn't believe in this light and this other religion that she went into, but I supported her because that's what a husband does. Everybody has a freedom to choose their own religions. Everybody has a freedom to choose their own acts. She fell asleep, very rested comfortably. I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs. Okay? I,
Judge Carson doesn't have the authority to overturn the jury's
no, I understand,
verdict.
but I need to let him know that everything was okay when she woke up the next morning. I kept the kids outside to keep her nice and stress-free. That's the only reason I left to go to the condo that night, because everything was good and there was an opportunity to get things done. As Ms. Kopko said, I fell asleep at a drop of a hat. I have this weight off my shoulders that my wife was feeling great. I went to charge the phone, and I fell asleep. I woke up afraid to be on eggshells or the doghouse again because we just reconciled. I ran back because I could not get the car started. It turns out my seat was too far back. And after that, everything happened. And I lived nothing but a nightmare. Every single suicide attempt, every single nightmare would come out. I relived every nightmare, would wake up, and would see, I was like, oh, that's a nightmare. Would see my family dead. I progressively tried to kill myself over and over and over again because I wanted to be with them. This altar they speak of was a homeschooling project from the week prior. That's all that was. There was no religious seance or anything whatsoever. It was nothing but a homeschooling project that made my wife happy because we were talking about Egyptian pharaoh and pyramids. That's all we were talking about and what they bring in the afterlife.
This is one of the strangest, most unsettling defendant statements I've heard. Notice how he spends more time talking about his wife's alleged medical problems and their arguments than the actual murders. He paints himself as a caretaker, even a victim, a man walking on eggshells. But the jury has already decided. They don't believe him. This speech isn't changing any minds, and frankly, it feels like it's not meant for the court. It's meant for him. A way to cling to a story only he believes.
This is not helping you from this progress on, so I encourage you to.
I'm sorry. I loved my wife. I loved my kids. They were first and foremost in my life. I did not do this. I provided for my wife, provided for my kids, did everything I could. I understand the jury came back. I understand evidence wasn't heard. I don't remember that time, from the time I fell down the stairs to the time I woke up in the jail. I loved my kids. I love my kids every day. It's only recently that I just stopped crying myself to sleep. My kids and my wife were everything to me. They were the center of my universe. When I came home, I was shattered. Appreciate you listening to me, sir. And I know you're in your situation. I did not do this. Thank you for listening to me, sir.
Court has been present during the...
He says, I was not there the night my children died. But prosecutors had physical evidence, and it told a different story. In murder trials, juries don't rely on feelings. They rely on facts. And here, the facts were devastating for Tote. His words here sound more like an attempt to rewrite history in real time.
Presentation of evidence throughout the entirety of the trial. A jury has unanimously determined, after listening to the evidence presented, that you, Anthony John Tote, are a destroyer of worlds. That you destroyed the world of your 4-year-old daughter, Zoe Elizabeth Tote. That you destroyed the world of your 10-year-old son, Tyler John Tote. That you destroyed the world of your 13-year-old son, Alexander John Tote. That you destroyed the world of your wife, Megan Denise Tote. You murdered each of them with premeditation. As to count 1, first-degree murder of Zoe Elizabeth Tote, you are sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As to count 2, for the premeditated murder of your son, Alexander John Tote, you are sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As to count 3, for the premeditated murder of your son, Tyler John Tote, you are sentenced to life in prison. As to count 4, for the premeditated murder of your wife, Megan Denise Tote, you are sentenced to life in prison. For the murder of the family dog, you are adjudicated guilty and sentenced to the maximum sentence consecutive, which is 1 year in the county jail. You'll be transferred to the Department of Corrections to serve your sentence. State of Florida versus Anthony.
That last plea, I did not do this, is chilling. It's not unusual for convicted killers to maintain innocence at sentencing. But what's striking is how rehearsed it feels, almost detached from the reality that his entire family is gone, and the court has already judged him responsible.
Tote has concluded.
The judge's words cut like a knife. Destroyer of worlds. You can tell this sentencing was personal for the court. Each life, each name, spoken one by one, followed by a life sentence. No chance of parole. This wasn't just about punishment. It was about making sure Anthony Tote never has the opportunity to hurt anyone again. This case leaves us with haunting questions. How could someone wipe out their entire family? And what drives a person to stand in a courtroom, face overwhelming evidence, and still say, "I didn't do it"? Whether you believe his version or the jury's verdict, the reality is the same. For lives and a family dog are gone forever, and Anthony Tote will die in prison.